High Museum, ATL. Give it up for your boy, Kirk, the legend.
Before we get into Trap God exhibit, I know you guys are here for that. Today is the exact anniversary of the day that I did this exhibit in East Atlanta 10 years ago. I felt it was important that not only you all in this room, but just the city and just people that have been following the journey, I felt it was important that y'all knew the real story, the full story. And I felt it was important that I caught you all up to like what I was thinking when I even came up with this concept, what I was thinking when, what I've been doing for the last 10 years, what sparked it, what created that energy, what created that drive for me to want to put myself first and want to be, a photographer that can do these types of things. I felt it was important that you all saw the full story. And there's so many people in this room that have known me from different parts of my journey. People I've worked with, people that work for me now, people that are just customers of our studio. And, I met you so many different places, you might not even know where it really started at, like where it really began. And, we couldn't tell, it's obviously so many more stories I could have jumped into, so many more pivots and lanes we can get into. But I wanted to just basically sum it up and bring you all pretty much to the day, May 30th, 2015, so you know exactly what was going through my mind. And I'm just excited for you all to be here. We got a lot more to put you through. I'm happy, Floyd, that you did this. You agreed to do this. It's a last-minute request. I'm happy you're able to do this. And I really want to get into like the inspiration of the Trap God exhibit and how this really, in my opinion, changed Atlanta, changed my life, but definitely changed Atlanta and helped reshape the art world out here. I'm just so honored and blessed to be here at the High Museum. Is even crazier. But man, let's do it. Let's get into it.
You deserve this, man.
Love, I appreciate that.
You deserve this. You deserve this. We got a chance to see the journey up until another pivotal moment, and I think what comes across in what we just saw is your resilience. Many times having to restart, to reset, and the resilience that comes with having to figure it out on the fly and then do something again. So, in this last reset, before we get to the Trap God exhibit, what did you vow to do creatively that was different? We kind of saw some of the things you said business-wise you might do differently, but when it came to the creative side of it, what did you then begin to rally around, whether it be resources, whether it be just, inspirations, what did that begin to begin to build in for you?
Yeah, so when I came home 2015, like I said in the doc, I was just crushed. My spirit was down. So the only thing I really had to lean on was those moments on tour. And that was like, that tour really like brought it all full circle for me. It was like a living physical representation of the work that we were building. Like, it's one thing to hear a record on your phone or to hear it out. It's another thing to go to, Denver, Colorado and see fans screaming lyrics to a song that you shot a video for. You know what I mean? Or just see the impact of it. So when I came home 2015, I was like, I have to start building my own world. And I have to build my own team. And I have to start like putting myself first. So that's when I really got on the ground with J. Rose and Ari, who are actually in the building. And I just started building my own team. And I was like, I saw it. I saw the formula already. I was blessed to be around these artists from the inception of a lot of them to see their careers blow up. So with Scooter, I saw the formula of a rapper. I saw what they do. What's the first step they take? What's the next step? I saw it and I said, okay, you do this, you do that, you do that. Next thing you know, you're making a living and you're popping. When the Scooter situation went down, I started hanging around producers. And that really took it to another level for me because I got to see how producers move. So I got to be in the presence of Mike Will. I got to be in the presence of Sunny Digital. And then Metro was actually coming up a little younger than them and a little under them. I got to almost see some of the moves they were making, see some of the moves Metro was making, take a little bit of what I learned from Scooter, and I got to watch it applied to these guys. And now these guys are being the faces of their brands. They're blowing up. Their names is going everywhere. So really when I came home, I was like, I saw it happen with two different fields within music. Why can't a photographer do it? And that was my energy. I'm gonna do the same things they did. You know, what did they do? I used to travel with Mike, and we would go to the radio stations, and he would drop his own records. I'm gonna go to the same radio station and say, I'm here. Y'all wanna hear the story about this? I ain't got a record to drop, but I could tell you what it's like to be here. So I started to like follow that same formula and watch it apply to another person that's meant to be behind the scenes. So my creativity was really just in that. It was like, I need to make a spark. And I knew if I made a spark, I had an audience that was brewing that would be receptive to it. So that was really my energy. It was like go time. Like, I got to do something, and I got to do something big.
So when it came time to actually produce the work, in your home, you're building with your team, you're inspired, but also going through a little bit of that bounce back. When it came time to actually do the Trap God exhibit, talk about the actual art production side of that, because I think we got to see the result of that, but let's maybe dive and peel back some of those layers to the actual like production of the event.
Yeah, so originally all I knew was I had these unreleased photos of Gucci Mane. And I had dropped a few online, and I saw they would go viral every time I would drop some online. So I was like, man, there's an audience that just is loving this theory, almost this like imagination of who Gucci is. It's like this whole world where people just assume he's this way or think he's this way, or they have this perception of him. And it's all across the world. It's not just in Atlanta. And now it's like the people he touched are now the biggest in the world also. They're blowing up. So all the people, Young Dolph, Young Thug, like all these artists that used to just be in the studios with us now are like blowing up. So I'm like, wow, this is whole world out here that he kind of had his hand on, and he's locked up. And no one can get a new photo of him. No one can he can't really do anything, but this whole world is building out here. So originally I just knew these photos were valuable, and I need to figure out what to do with these photos. So the idea really just started like, you know what, I'm gonna take these photos and I'm gonna do my first art show with it. And it was literally that simple. And I would go and I would tell John or other friends, I'm like, I think it's time. I think we should do this art show around the Gucci photos. And, you know, it was some natural excitement around, like, okay, that'd be dope. But I didn't get the response I wanted. I was like, the photos, they cool. But I also knew, like I said in the doc, I never really took like that hero shot at Gucci. I never had equipment and did a photo with him that I thought was just like groundbreaking. I just had some really dope candids. I was like, I gotta build a world around this. So originally I was like, I'm gonna try to rent out an art gallery, white wall space. I'm gonna print the work, I'm gonna put it on the wall. And then people would be like, okay, cool. And I was like, then I started thinking more because I wasn't getting the reaction I wanted. I said, it'd be dope if I like put like a stove in there. That'd be cool, like some pots and stuff. Like make it look like a trap house. But it was like, and I used to see their reaction go like, all right. I was like, yeah, that could be cool. So I started looking up little art galleries I could do. Then I was talking to another friend or something. I was like, what if I did that shit in a trap house? Because none of the galleries I was looking up, I didn't know how to get into them. I was like, what if I actually did that shit like in a trap house? That'd be crazy, like a house party. But in all the rooms, I just put the photos up on the wall. And I just remember my friend's face just lit up. Like, nah, you gotta do that. That's crazy. And then from there, I was like, I don't know how to do it, but I gotta do that. I got to figure that out because I don't even want to go back to a white wall space. And I remember, I had been working with a lot of local artists here, and I remember, I think he's still here. I don't know if Man still in here, but Man at the top. I remember I hit Man because I remember he had a crib in East Atlanta, and I was like, this is like on the same street that I used to go to Gucci Studio at. And he had a crib, and I remember the burglar bar doors on the crib. I was like, this could work. I don't know what it would take to make it happen, but I'm going to call him and say, hey, bro, crazy idea. If I just wanted to throw an event at your crib, what would you say? And honestly, he was with it. He was like, throw me something, but shit, I don't care. Do it. So at that point, the scene is set. And just like in the doc, nothing happens without some adversity, to be honest. So I was just dead set on that crib. I had it lined up. I probably had made the flyer and everything. I was really close to announcing what I was about to do. And I remember, I think I might have saw it on the news. That, I hope I'm not telling too much, bro. All right.
It didn't work out.
That crib didn't work out. So I ended up actually having to pivot on the last minute, but it was raw. It was raw. And he showed me another spot. And he took me to another spot, maybe down the street. And this spot was like a church, but his friend was living in it on the other side of it. And I remember seeing it, but I was, again, so man, that's not the vibe, man. I wanted the burglar bar doors. I wanted the crib. And I went in there, and I remember walking around and just man, it's cool, but I don't see it. And I honestly remember walking out kind of yeah, I'll let you know, I'll holler at you. And he was like, you don't get it, bruh? It's the trap God. This is a church in East Atlanta. It's a trap God. And at that point, it just hit me. I'm like, oh, you're right. Because literally half of the crib is a church. And you go in a door and it's like a kitchen and everything you kind of see in this video is just on the other side. And from there, I was like, nah, this might even be better. This is perfect. And it was a big enough venue that can actually hold an audience. And from there, the idea just started to keep building. So then I'm like, well, I got this big space. It's not different rooms like I originally wanted in the house, but I got this big space. I need to fill it. How can we fill this up? So then the next layer was we need actors. I said, we should make this feel like a real trap house. I'm really bringing you to East Atlanta. You already got to do some stuff to get here. It was really in Zone 6, really in East Atlanta. So I was like, it'd be cool if I had actors playing different roles, so it felt like you were walking into a live trap house. So then we started to build the actor list out. All right, we need girls. We need some girls in here, and they're just working. So on the one side of the room, it's girls acting like they're cooking up dope. They're just in the vibe. And then if you go to the church side, there's a priest. So we had a priest in the room that walked around, and he told you, God bless you. He just if he see you, he just bless you, bless you, bless you. But he had a Bible in one hand and an AK in the other hand. And he would just walk around. And you can kind of see it in the video. And then, so this world was being created. And then, if y'all know about Atlanta can't wait to turn anything into a party. That's one of the things I hate about certain art exhibits, because Atlanta come in there and go straight to the bar before they go look at the art. And I had thought about that. I was like, I really want people to appreciate the art. So I don't even want that vibe. So I had one other actor that was the owner of the trap. And he had a pit bull. And I said, if somebody's lingering, kick them out. You got permission to kick him out. So every now and then, he would run around with the pit bull and would be like, what you doing in my trap? Get out. And we would make you only stay there for 10, 15 minutes. Then you had to get out. So it was just this super immersive world that I was just building that really just brought the trap God ideology to life. And it was crazy.
You had divine trap intervention, just came in and saved you. I'm wondering how much, you may have been able to pull from your experiences being on tour. When you're developing or witnessing, concerts these days, there's a lot of world building for the audience to have to, step into. Yeah, you have the album, you may have already listened to it a bunch of times, but the concert experience is where you're trying to build something. Were there any things that you maybe sort of pulled from in those instances to say, I can build a world, maybe not for that stage element, but for like my visual storytelling in this way, and then approach it with, what you wanted to present?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, being on a rodeo tour, working with Travis and just the way that his mind thinks, like he opened up another part of our brain that even like Metro and Thug didn't know about. Like it was like really approaching what we were doing like a true art form. And it was abstract at times, but it was very detailed. It was like he was a very detailed person. Like it has to be like this or it has to happen this way. And definitely I took elements of that, elements of just traveling the world and seeing what people react to, what songs on tour they reacted to would let me know like, okay, they ready for this world or they're ready for this vibe. So for sure it was a combination of just taking all of those elements and bringing it together in one environment for sure.
And so you talk about the way in which word travels around events, around moments in Atlanta. And so not only did this experience, present a moment where you're presenting the actual work, but of course people are going to hear about it. So talk about sort of the ripple effect of who's coming to this space, what then becomes the mythology around, this actual experience for you.
Yeah, so originally, again, this is like the first thing I've ever done on my own, like with my own merit. So I'm trying to use, like, I told myself, like, I'm not leaning on Metro, I'm not calling none of my friends, asking them to help me with this. It's gonna be my team, and we're gonna do it. If they show up, they show up. If they support it, dope, but no one's gonna be able to say they helped me. They didn't help fund it, they didn't help nothing. Like, even to the point where me and John, like maybe like 3 weeks before the exhibit, we took a China bus to New York, like a $20 bus to New York, because I said I'm gonna go to New York and promote my exhibit. Like I've been to these rooms with Scooter, I've been to these rooms with Metro, I've been to the Fader office, I've been to Double XL office. I'm going, and I'm gonna tell them I'm doing an exhibit. And that was the best thing I ever did, because doing that, I got the word out quick, and everybody just ate it up, because it was this idea of like an art exhibit dedicated to Gucci Mane. Like that was just abstract to people at that time. That was provocative. So it was like everyone just didn't know what to expect, and no one knew what to expect also. So everybody was just biting at it. Like, so I was going to them same places I went with the artists I used to work with, and they were letting me in, and they were interviewing me and talking to me. By the time we came back off that China bus and got back to Atlanta, it was like on a Complex, Double XL, Fader. Like everybody was talking about this event, and it literally was blowing up to the point where I'm like, yo, we got something. We about to have something crazy on our hands. And it just really worked out like that. But it was the first time I ever got to really see my power, and I used my personal power to make something happen. And ironically, it blew up so bad. It blew up so big that a day before the exhibit, Gucci told me to cancel that shit. I guess he got word in prison I was doing some shit. I never asked for permission. It was me doing it for you. I wasn't asking for your permission to do this. But it was blowing up so bad you couldn't avoid it. It was on the Breakfast Club. It was everywhere. So it's telephone game of the message getting to someone in prison. All he hears is Kirk, Gucci Mane, crazy exhibit. I need that money. He tripping. What he doing? So that was actually a big like hiccup on the fourth quarter because I had to really just stand true that like I wasn't making no money. I wasn't charging for this event. It's free. I'm doing this to express gratitude for you, for what you've done, not only for me, for the city. And it's no money involved. And Coach K helped me navigate through some of that. But yeah, it blew up big.
But I think even that response that you talked about between you and, or Gucci's response to you all's conversation about it or working it out, I think what we forget is that the things that feel really common now were not back then. So now, you know, as artists are promoting their projects, or as enthusiasts maybe creating things, or as other artists may be actually like developing these types of experiences, it's very common.
Yeah.
And so at that point, it wasn't. And so I can imagine that if someone, you know, is hearing you're about to make an exhibit off of their particular likeness, like they can create a bit of, you know, confusion.
For sure. I mean, it's one of the reasons why, even as big as I've been in my career, I don't sell my work. Like I don't sell my artwork because my relationship with artists is very special to me, and it can get confusing. Like this world of music really bridging into art, it's a lot of ignorance. So it can get confusing. So trying to explain it to someone why you're selling a photo of them for $5,000, $10,000, or whatever, and trying to explain that I own the copyright, it's my work, it's too much sometimes. So it oftentimes is the reason why I don't do too many art experiences, because I think it can get kind of confusing.
But in that moment, though, or what happened immediately after that, is we began to see other instances of experiences. And so what you did, maybe just really in a moment of trying to create a world of your own for your own personal and professional benefit, actually began to become an inspiration for all these other moments that we began to see that paid homage to artists in their own ways. But like, I think what you did was you showed that it could be done.
Yeah, I think I showed people a different way to approach their art and their product. You know, like prior to the Trap God exhibit, I didn't really know about a lot of experiential events happening in Atlanta. Like prior to that, to me, it was the nightclub. It was Compound, Go Room. It was, you know, Magic City. If you had an album release, you did it at Magic City. You did it at one of those spots. And yeah, after that, you know, artists started taking it up a notch. You know, you were doing experiential events like Pink Trap House. You know, T.I. invented the Trap Museum. It's like you got more creative and really understood how to approach the work you're doing like art and present it that way. And I think Atlanta became very receptive of that. And some of those staples have become like iconic. When you think of art and you think of Atlanta, you think of sometimes those two instances.
Yeah, I mean, I think you've been a bridge for the visual art community to step beyond, you know, what we would expect from them in this space. So what it did was, you know, you have a whole economy around folks who can make art and have a place for it that references these artists, that references their stories, and invites community to be there to support it. So I think it's been a thing that has helped create and even sustain a certain part of the arts economy.
Well, that's dope. I'm happy about that.
You said something earlier about not really having examples, you know, living examples that were blueprints for you as you were maybe thinking about forward in your career. But I think what we've seen is that you've now become that for a lot of other photographers. Like you have become the example. What does that mean to you?
That means a lot. That's one of my driving forces. That's the motivation. That's why we're here today. It's like, you can do it. You know, it's all possible. So that means a lot, but sometimes it is kind of heavy because it's like I'm forging away even as I speak. I didn't know how to get into the High Museum. You know how many people we had to call to figure out how to even do this? I didn't have a path for this. So even to do this, I'm learning. I'm still learning. So although I'm leading away, I'm still learning at the same time, making a mistake or failing so that someone else can do it faster or better than me. So sometimes being also still young in my career, I'm only 36, so like I'm still young figuring things out. So that's also sometimes heavy because it's like I don't have all the answers, and this game and this climate of art and photography is changing by the day, by the minute it's changing. The world that I was doing in 2015, another photographer now couldn't do it again. It doesn't exist. One, the Atlanta culture don't exist like it did back then. It's a different world. All of our superstars don't live here. Most of them don't. And it ain't a lot of institutions that were built during those times to maintain the pipeline, in my opinion, that would guarantee that we can continue to generate this magic that we've had for the last 10, 15 years. So if you're a young photographer trying to come up in this climate, who you gonna go work with? Like, who do we feel is gonna be the next? When I was in it, I was leaving a session with Migos, running with Thug, Rich Homie Quan. I had Young Scooter, Lucci. I had a plethora. Then if I didn't want to work with artists, I can go to the producers. It's Mike Will, it's Sunny Digital, it's TM, it's Southside, it's Metro Boomin, C-Note, like Zaytoven. Like, it's so many icons that came up during my wave that the game is different now. So it's hard being in the lead because most young people just want to replicate what you did, but I try to tell them you can't replicate what I did. You got to find your own way, but it's different.
I mean, I think as a contemporary artist, you are in conversation with the times that you're working in. And so you were there for defining moments of a really amazing generation of Atlanta artists, Atlanta culture, the city itself. So when you're talking to younger artists, or even artists that are maybe not young, but just that are still here and trying to find a way now, what is that path? What is a path to being sustainable now that maybe you've been thinking about, or that you're sort of thinking long term about in terms of your own capacity?
I mean, I'm building it with Kirk Studios. Like, that's the path, in my opinion. I just need more. I need help from other people to build multiple paths, right? You can't all come through one door, but what we're building at Kirk Studios, 10 years later from this Trap God exhibit is the path to, in my opinion, to getting to the next level or to building community around what we had. I think that's like the big thing that I feel like Atlanta just lost is like community. It lost a sense of that. Like, I remember going to Little 5 Points for beer and tacos. It was community there. I remember when they left Little 5 Points and went to Edgewood. It was community there. I remember Peter Street. I love Peter Street too. Peter Street was lit. Peter Street used to be lit. Where is it now? Maybe y'all know. Maybe I'm old. Maybe I'm missing it. Where is it now? Like, where is community? I used to go to places and I can tell you somebody's going to be there. I never spoke to them. Hey, if I go there, you're probably going to run into this. It was even like that a few years ago. I remember when we was doing Collective Gallery, we had a photographer in town that we were trying to sign. And I literally told her, I said, Atlanta's crazy. I said, I guarantee we're going to go outside and we're going to go run into a celebrity. Stepped outside our door, T.I. was right there. Like, literally that instant. I just don't have that feeling anymore where our stars are that attainable and accessible and where community is at. So I'm building that with Kirk Studios. We're building community. You can go in there and never know who you might see. But I feel like, a lot more people in my generation, my class, need to be sure that they're leaving something behind for the next to even be able to come in and do it better and faster. But I feel like Atlanta's just missing community right now.
10 years can be a long time, but it can fly quickly. When you look back at the images from that time period, from the Trap God exhibit, when you think back to who you were at that time period, as you're driving home, as you just sort of up late at night, like what is the thing that, is the lingering, lasting sort of feeling for you about that moment?
When I think about that era, I just think about a renaissance, a magical time that could never be duplicated. And I just also think about how much I took for granted at that time. I think about sometimes I'm hard on myself. I think about all the times I didn't grab my camera, all the times I just let moments pass. And it's also pretty emotional because, and if you hear my story, you see my story, it's about 5 or 6 RIPs in there. Like, we're literally losing legends by the day before their stories can even be fully told. And it almost happens so much that we're numb to it, at least myself, and that's crazy. Like, people that have changed my life are literally not here anymore. Like, Scooter's not here anymore. Like, that's crazy. So, I wish I took more advantage of that time. And I did a lot, and people would say I did a lot, but I wish I captured more memories.
I want to leave it there. I think that's the perfect way to end it. Thank you.